Oh, welcome to the Sports Lounge. Oh, each and every week at this time, we go behind the scenes with the politics of sports, why things happen. I'm Michael Horn, but the star of our show is the guy that takes that look behind the scenes. He's the football icon, the entertainment legend. He's an icon in entertainment as well, too. Started 100 so many shows. The one and only Mr. Fred Dreyer.
Oh, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, and Michael Horn. I just got a new iPhone.
You did?
Last week.
Oh.
I was, as they say, in the middle of a social event when my phone exploded.
Wait a minute.
It just said, "That's it. I quit."
The battery went up in it?
Everything just went bad, and
Wow.
and I couldn't do anything with it, so I immediately ran over to the Apple store over here in the valley. They have a Valley Apple store over there.
How much did that one set you back? Is that?
I'll tell you something else. I just replaced my existing phone, which was the SE5.
And you got another SE5?
And I've got another SE5. Cost me $340.
And so you got
That's
the same.
it. And
How it works?
Yeah, he transferred everything over for me.
That's great.
And here it is right here. I'll just hold it up for everybody. As my granddaughters on the front, Emma and Ellie.
Yeah, the picture just went out.
Yeah. But anyway,
apparently the phone just went dead again.
Well, that's what they're supposed to do. So I asked the guy, I said, "How long will I be out there on my own until I have to come back and see you
again?" Right?
And he says, "It shouldn't take you but a couple of years."
So he says, because
it's built-in obsolescence.
I know,
as they say.
And they keep making you download those new.
No, it's terrible.
And then when you download something new, and they've got some new download, and it screws up the whole phone.
Yeah, and so last night, or whatever it is, the night before last,
Yeah.
I'm now the phone is on during the night because I maybe I get some.
I might text you.
You may text me, or I might hear from Pete Rose.
Exactly.
On this gambling thing, which we're going to talk about.
Yes, yeah.
But I hear the phone go beep beep, and it wakes me up, and it's some phone call from Utah.
Really?
Yeah.
No, that was actually me. That was my horn. You didn't answer the
were
phone
you
call. I drove over to your house.
So you drove to Utah
beep,
to make
beeped.
make a phone call.
Hey, follow Fred on Twitter, Fred_Dreyer, Facebook.com/The Real Fred Dreyer, and email him, FredDreyer@CRNTalk.com. Yeah, that's what you got to do on that.
Yeah.
So anyway, so you got everything done,
I got everything. Everything's fine, and I'm ready to roll. And then Sunday, last Mother's Day,
yes,
my computer goes out. So $2,600 later, here I am, with a new computer, and I brought the old one in for you.
The one that went out.
The one that went out. Yeah.
So you brought it to us.
I stripped everything out,
but it doesn't work, right?
No, it does work.
So how did it went out and then it came back?
Well, but my friend, who's an expert on computers. If you have a computer and a phone.
This guy's good?
This woman is fantastic. She is a genius. And she says, "Oh, yeah, let me see how old your computer is." My Mac computer is 8 years old. She says that is like a dinosaur. She says, "If I were you, I would go ahead and take this as an omen and go out and get yourself a new computer. It's going to cost you a couple of grand, but go out and get it and get rid of the other one. But the other one that I have out front for you, I brought it for you.
The one that wasn't working.
Yeah, it'll do what you want it to do.
It'll do arithmetic on there.
It'll do
bit
everything you want it to do.
Can you play Pong on it? Do you have a couple of Pong games?
All it's good for.
It's good to get the Pong game on there.
It's all it's good for.
Space Invaders, possibly.
Pong was a great game. I played Super Pong, where the thing came at you about 100 miles an hour.
Yeah,
that was really good.
You got Mario. I don't like the Mario Brothers. Just like Mario and Donkey Kong.
Pac-Man, I was excellent.
Pac-Man
I had to
really
take cortisone shots in my elbow.
Really,
that was so good.
I know. So did some of the baseball pitchers.
Tell you.
We'll talk about that too.
All right.
Welcome back here to the Sports Lounge. I'm Michael Horn, along with the star of our program, the one and only football and acting legend, Fred Dryer. And so, Fred, your iPhone goes out this week. Then over the weekend on Mother's Day, your computer blows up. Is that correct? What did it do? What was the problem?
Well, I got up in the morning, and the first thing I always do, I'm sure these folks out there will understand this, I go downstairs and turn my computer on.
Right.
And I check all of my personal stuff, banking stuff, everything, because you never can tell while you're sleeping. Some Pakistani might
come in there,
and take the $5 million you thought you had in there.
That's correct.
So anyway, I go down there and check it out. But the screen, as I turned it on, the screen came on, and everything was blurred.
Oh, boy.
Everything was blurred. So I turned everything off. I went through the procedures, from what I know as a layman, and nothing. So I had to call my friend, and she came over and she went, wow.
So she fixed it, but then she said maybe you should get a new computer.
She went into the main mechanism, into the engine room, as it were.
Yeah.
And she kind of snapped it up, and she says, it might do this again. You can either take a chance on doing it. I said, I don't want to take a chance.
So you brought that computer to us here that might do that same problem again.
Yes, exactly.
You're giving that to us.
So when that thing dumps, it's going to dump here, not at my house.
Okay, this is good. Thank you, Fred, for
like
the
your
gift.
Dog.
It's really nice.
Like your dog.
How old is it? 8 years old?
8.
Yeah, so you hold on to these things for a while, don't you?
Well,
like that black and white TV you used to have in your house.
I had a Hoffman black and white.
So did I.
They
just got rid of it last month. They worked forever.
No, they were great.
Easy
the Hoffmans
vision.
were great, and believe me, big league baseball looks great on that 9-inch screen.
Beautiful, and it's just very crisp, and you can turn the contrast up and everything. You can see the white ball up against the green grass. It comes up.
I used to run home from school and was so excited to turn on my Hoffman.
Little Freddie Dryer. What did you watch?
I'd watch Soupy Sales.
Yeah. How about Sheriff John? If you were,
I would watch Sheriff John.
Engineer Bill.
And my mom would say, Frederick, before you turn that television on, you get in there and you get washed up for dinner. And I said, well, can I watch Engineer Bill? Not now. You can't watch Engineer Bill. So we had these conversations.
Yeah. And how about Skipper Frank? He always had the cartoon carousel.
Skipper Frank.
Because he had the good cartoons.
Yeah,
he had
how about
Bugs
Tom
Bunny,
Hatton?
Tom Hatton and the Pier 5 Club. Popeye.
Do you know I saw him on Tom Hatton? I saw him on television here on PBS.
Yes,
about a month or two ago. He looks exactly the same.
I know, but he doesn't play any Popeye cartoons anymore. Or Squiggle.
Well, he plays movies. He plays old noir movies.
See, and he had the Squiggle contest. Remember?
I sent something in.
What'd you send?
Here's what it was. I came in third.
Really?
Yes, it was. My brother and I, Charlie. He said, here's from Charlie and Freddie Dryer in Lawndale, California. Go on green, stop on red. If you don't, you might be dead.
Well, that was beautiful.
That was our poem.
Did you two become songwriters after that?
Yeah, it was just like Rodgers and Hart. That's what we were.
Beautiful.
We were the Rodgers and Hart.
Give it to me again if you could, so I can really absorb it.
Do you want to write it down?
Yeah, go ahead.
We have playback.
I just want to hear it one more time from your lips.
Go on green.
Go on green.
Stop on red.
Stop on red.
If you don't,
you
might be dead.
You might be dead. You got third place with that?
Oh, with third place.
If you see Tom Hatton again and you talk about it, he probably remembers that. You probably saved lives with that.
I'm glad you brought it up because I did see Tom Hatton. That's about 15 years ago when I was doing the Hunter Show. We were at a function together, and I came up to him. I said, "You don't know me." He said, "Oh, I know who you are. I was a great Ram fan." He said, "Okay." But I said, "You don't know me, but I came in third on your test." And he says, "Really?" I said, "Yeah. Want to hear it?" And he says, "Well, do we have time?" And I said, "Yeah. We have time." And I let him have
at the time. Did you tackle him at the time so you could talk to him?
Yeah, when I said, "You might be dead," he kind of went, "Oh."
Yeah. He was being nice to you.
He was very nice. He was thinking to himself, this is a
He probably said, that kid hasn't grown up at all.
You call the authorities. Get me away from this guy.
Beautiful. That is just some. So, this is good. You got the new phone. It's actually the same model you had before, good for 2 years. You got a new computer. We got your old beat up one here that we're going to use.
We got it. It's great.
We'll give it to Matt and see if he can.
Matt can do it.
Matt can work on that.
Matt can handle the Mac.
And you talk to Tom Hatton. And now, video games. You said you had Pong on that computer. You have that Pong. You were good at that.
I said that's all it's good for. You can put any game you want on that.
Yeah.
And just use it.
But you play Pong, right?
I play Pong.
Super Pong, right?
I play Super Pong, which goes about 500 miles an hour. I told you that.
How's your arm? Is the wrist?
Well, it's fine, but I have muscle memory. So when I used to play and excel, by the way, at Pac-Man, it was, when I was at Hefner's, I would go to the game room
because he had those
late
games.
at night. I would drive. Listen to this. I lived in Long Beach, and on the way back to Long Beach, I'd stop off at Sunset Boulevard.
At Beverly Hills.
I'd drive to Hef's. I'd go up to the Rock.
Right on the way.
The guy would say, yes, good evening. I said, it's Fred Dreyer. He says, oh, hi, Fred. Come on up.
What time was this?
About 3 a.m. So I drove in, I parked, and I got out, and I had the whole game room to myself.
Oh, wow.
I turned the lights on low, went over to the Pac-Man machine. I loosened up my arm on my shoulder. I got on the floor.
You have your
and
trainer
cracked
with
my
you?
back. I cracked my back.
Had your trainer?
And then I went and I scored like 16,000 on my first pass.
Well, now here's the thing.
It's unbelievable.
Because these guys that are making millions of dollars, like David Price, he was on the DL for a while in Boston. He had a problem with he had the whole thing with his arm that he had because he was playing video games. He says he's always played video games, and now he may have to stop because he's ruining his baseball career.
He has to temper it with some rest and Dr. Ships and the laser.
So the laser will take care of that.
Yeah, the laser is perfect.
Take care of your wrist.
It's perfect for this. And Jason, what's this guy, Turner? Justin Turner?
David Price.
Justin Turner for the Dodgers.
Oh, Justin Turner.
He broke his wrist, right?
Did he go see Dr. Ships?
He didn't see Ships.
See, that would help him out because it's the hot laser that goes in there and takes the inflammation out. I've gone to him.
And it brings healing powers to the area that's damaged.
At your recommendation, I've gone there. I love Dr. Ships.
How's your Achilles tendon now?
Oh, man, you cured it. This is a true story. I was suffering. I did work in the backyard on a hillside, bent forward, and then my Achilles tendons were killing me. I finally went to the doctor, and he put me through therapy, and I'm doing stretches, and they're using this ultrasound, and all of a sudden this voice that wasn't a little voice, it was a big booming voice. It's Fred Dreyer's voice saying, go to Dr. Sheps. He's got the hot laser. It takes the inflammation. I thought, if I'm thinking that this ultrasound is working, I should go see Dr. Sheps. So I did, and I'm telling you, within like 2 months, the problem was gone.
See, there it is. It's that simple. And it could have helped Matt Kemp stay with the Dodgers because he was a bum. He always had leg injuries.
Right.
It could have helped this last turnaround. It could have helped Clayton Kershaw with his shoulder injury. It could have helped all these people.
Have you mentioned this to the Dodgers at all?
Well, you know my story.
No.
My story was.
What's your story?
Well, yeah, I told you this. My story was I called some people up I knew through Tommy Lasorda, and they got me a meeting during a Sunday Dodger game at Dodger Stadium with the head trainer of the Dodgers.
Wow.
So I brought all of Dr. Shep's information,
right,
and certainly my personal
endorsement,
approbation,
right.
And so I got to the game early on a Sunday. Went down there on the field during batting practice, and this woman was told. This woman who
you were
was
going to see her.
I was going to see her. Soon as she saw me, she stiffened. Like,
really?
Oh no!
Here he is.
You know how this is, and this is the way it is. There's pride of authorship on these teams.
Yeah.
If some guy like me walks in and gives them the key to
success,
people are going to say, "Well, why didn't you come up with it?" So there's pride of authorship. Yeah. So I came in and I said, here's the literature. This is what you should do. This is what it did for me, and this is how you should work it. And it's great. Just see it. If you want me to come back with Dr. Shep, I will. And she says, well, that's okay. I say, hey, don't get crazy here. I'm just trying to help you.
We're back in the Sports Corner. We being yours truly, Michael Horn, and the star of our show, the football legend, the acting icon, the one and only Mr. Fred Dryer. So David Price,
thank you,
of the Boston Red Sox, a pitcher, says he doesn't think playing video games caused carpal tunnel syndrome. That's why he was on the DL.
Oh, carpal tunnel.
Yeah, but that causes it.
This is the perfect thing.
Exactly.
The laser is the perfect thing for soft tissue, tendons, joints, bones, cartilage. This is the thing. This guy, what does he make? $27 million a year. He should go out and spend $9,000 or $40,000, whatever it is.
Get his own machine.
Get his own machine. They'll teach him how to use it, and for the rest of his life, he'll never have any of these.
He's been playing video
problems.
games his entire life, so he's not convinced that that's what led to his recent diagnosis of carpal tunnel syndrome on his left wrist. He's a left-handed pitcher, so he's pitching. And and I got my very first video game, and I was a youngster, and this was after the Pongs that came up, and this one had baseball on it. And I played for like 4 hours trying to beat the computer and learn how to beat the computer. And my neck and muscles, my back still hasn't recovered from that. Video games can cause you to tense up.
Well, amongst other things, it can really dull your intelligence.
What?
Yep.
Oh,
and your hearing.
What did you say, Fred?
In your hearing.
What? What'd you say? So anyway, come on. This would make sense if I'm a owner of a team and I'm paying a guy like David Price $27 million. Wouldn't you say, hey, look at David, one thing, don't play video games and, don't go out and start pruning all your rose bushes out there. Save your wrist, would you, for the game?
No,
wouldn't
these guys can't think straight. And of course,
can't.
yeah. And here's the other thing. I would go to the hospital when they took him to the hospital. I would go there and just whisper in his ear while he's laying there, kind of in semi-conscious.
What would you do?
Hey, David, we just took $15 million off your contract.
That's what you would do? Just subconsciously?
Just subconsciously lay it in there for him. So when he wakes up, he go, gee, did I
hear Fred, the owner, say?
Did Fred Dryer come in here and tell me he took $15 million off my paycheck?
Where's my Pong game? Let me start playing again.
I got to play Pong. Yeah, I call Fred Dryer. Maybe I get him in a Pong game.
And here's another thing that I saw, and I wanted to talk to you about this. I'm watching SportsCenter, and the great Pedro Martinez, arguably one of the greatest pitchers of baseball of all time, he's looking at Walker Buehler, who throws for the Dodgers. He's the young kid who had Tommy John surgery, so they don't let him throw like 5 pitches a game. But he's looking at him, and he gave me some insight. He said, watch this guy's legs. He says, look at how he leads off the mound, and he puts his right foot going forward, and then he took his left foot, and he slings that left foot around when he lets go of the baseball, and he says, that's the Dodger way of getting that leverage. And he says, I did that. I learned that. And that's how he became a great pitcher to this last day that he pitched.
Mechanics,
that's
boys.
the way he did the mechanics. Yeah. And he says you got to have, fluid hips to go ahead and do that kind of thing. And he said that Walker Buehler looks better than Pedro did at that particular stage of his career. He was very high on him.
Hershiser thinks he's a genius, this kid, already.
Could he be the next Sandy Koufax like Clayton Kershaw?
Well, he's got a big future, that's for sure. And he's got a lot of brains. And he's got a real interesting demeanor about him. I like him.
You like the kid?
Of all the prospects, I like him a lot.
Now, let me ask you this question, too, because Tommy John surgery, Walker Buehler, he had a no-hitter going, and then the loser Dodger bullpen came in and actually didn't give up a run, so like 4 pitchers were involved in a no-hitter. But don't you let Walker Buehler have as many innings as you can. Like if he walks somebody or something, then you take him out. But don't you give him instead of taking him on the 6th inning, give him one more inning to throw a couple of batters out or something, wouldn't you?
I'm going to tell you something.
What?
There's many truths to what you say.
Thank you.
Tell
me the truth.
Here's a big one.
Yeah.
If anything should happen and he is pushed over his pitch limit,
right,
and something happens to him,
they're going to be mad at the manager.
They're going to have a big problem.
Yeah.
And so it's always easy to say, you should have left him in. He could have had a perfect game. Well, the truth of the matter is, he might have, and at the same time, he might have strained himself a little bit. Because, you get fatigued. That arm gets fatigued after a while. You got to build yourself up. These guys know more about that operation than I or you do or anybody else does. And I've not heard pitchers, good ones, who have had Tommy John criticize that move.
Well, here's the thing. I like Dave, Doc, the Dave Roberts of the Dodgers, the manager, but he did that once before to Ross Stripling. And I think what it does is it lessens the guy's thought process. If you're new and young and you throw a no-hitter, it gives you the impetus to think about, my gosh, I threw a no-hitter. I'm going to continue to see what I did and keep moving. You pull him out, and the guy goes, I was pitching a no-hitter, and they took me out, and you're demoralized. And you got to think about the arm, but you got to think about the brain and what it does to the pitcher. And I think that
doesn't do anything.
Yes, it does.
No, it doesn't.
Oh, it wouldn't be.
Grow up.
I got
it's
a no-hitter going, Skipper. Let me in
there. They're 22 years old. 22
years
years old. They got the whole life ahead of them. And if they're worth their salt, they're going to come back and they'll throw another no-hitter.
Let me have it now. I'm sorry. I just feel strongly about it. But okay, I can't believe you just said what you said. But
well, there it is.
Apparently, you're doing the metrics.
I'm Sultan, and you're just Michael Horn.
And that's why I'm Michael Horn. I'll be right back with the Sultan. Welcome back here to the Sports Lounge. I'm Michael Horn, the guy with some genius thoughts from time to time, but the all-star, the Sultan as we call him here at the show, the acting legend, the football icon, the one and only Mr. Fred Dryer.
Listen, I was listening this morning to various radio stations. Some of the shows that
music or talk?
Some of the shows, both actually.
Okay.
Some of the shows that I like. I'd flick on the Sinatra channel, and then I'd listen to a couple of Frank, and then I'd flip it over, at 7:30 or 8 o'clock, and I would listen to some of these sports guys.
You don't listen to Jennifer Horn on AM 870, The Answer?
Well, not today.
Okay, I'm sorry. So you listen to the sports guys, and what happens?
That's a cheap plug, by the way.
Thank you very much. She's on 870 in Los Angeles, KRLA.
Right. She's on with that guy. What's that guy's name?
Brian Whitman. He's
Isn't there
he's liberal.
An issue there?
Yeah, she's conservative. But go ahead. Yeah. So anyway, you're listening to sports, and what'd you hear?
Well, they're talking about the New Jersey wins a big Supreme Court a bid for sports betting in the city in the state of New Jersey, and so here we are now. For all of the things that I grew up on, when I came into the National Football League. At the week that training camp broke,
right,
the National Football League office would send people in to now make players aware of certain places, certain nightclubs, bars, certain restaurants where the bad guys hung out, the bettors and the gamblers and the hoods, and especially in New York, they would just say, this restaurant and that restaurant, you're going to run into some guys from the neighborhood,
Yeah.
And so this whole emphasis was put on protecting the sanctity of the sport,
right,
with betting.
Right.
The worst thing that a player could do, other than they say smoking a bunch of dope and snorting cocaine in the men's room of the airplane.
There you go.
Other than that would be gambling.
Right.
And so now we've come such a long way that now the league is now chasing down states. So the states can say, yeah, we'll pass a sanction saying that it's okay here in the state of New Jersey for sports betting. And of course, now you've got all the individual sports now lining up behind these states to say, hey, you can bet on NFL games in New Jersey. You can bet on hockey games in New Jersey. And there's I think 4 or 5 that the guy talked about. And it was a 6-3 decision And so
now you can sports bet. It used to be you had to go to Vegas to play your sports. Now you can do it anywhere in any state, right?
Well, yeah, you can. And what's happening is $150 billion a year in illegal off-site betting.
Wow.
And so the league wants some of that.
Of course they do.
And so do these states.
So, but wait, stop for a second. They've got Pete Rose. He's blackballed from baseball because supposedly he bet on his team to win or something. And you're saying now the league wants part of the gambling money now? They're greedy for the gaming money?
Well, they want it done right. Well, look, Pete Rose broke a rule in baseball as a manager, wearing the uniform. He did a lot of stuff that he was suspended for.
Right.
And gambling was in there, certainly. But what we have here is the turning of the tide. You can go anywhere now and legally place a bet, and so what's the shake-up gonna be? What's gonna happen to the sport? Are players going to be allowed to gamble?
Yeah.
I mean, if it's legal for a citizen to do it, why can't a player do it?
There you go.
So and if they say, something, we're going to have to keep you players from gambling. I'm suing the state and I'm suing the National Football League. Because if I'm playing defensive end for the New York Giants,
right,
I'm gonna, and we're playing a SAP team.
Right.
I'm loading up.
Right.
I'm gonna come to the practice field and say to these guys, I just put 10 grand down on us to win. So that becomes,
you better win the
that
game.
becomes the narrative, and that becomes the driving force behind the conversation of the game. So will players, how are the players going to fare?
I don't know.
They got enough money to gamble.
Of course they do, and they could do it. And I heard that Chris Christie was kind of involved in this, kind of pushed this thing through. He was working on this deal when he was governor there of New Jersey.
Well, here's the other thing.
Yeah.
Here's now what's in it for the owners. Their franchises will double.
They will?
The value of
a
franchise, a sports franchise,
yes,
because of the absolute money-making
potential here.
That you have with, if you're playing for the Giants or you're a Giants fan, you're going to really have a great opportunity to make an awful lot of money through gambling.
Exactly.
So we don't know exactly what each team is going to get, what the league's going to get, what the percentages are, but believe me, it's going to be huge.
We want to know what you think about it. You can follow Fred on Twitter, Fred_Dryer, D-R-Y-E-R, on Facebook.com/The Real Fred Dryer. You can also send us an email, FredDryer@CRNTalk.com, FredDryer@CRNTalk.com. So that'll be get you taken care of there. But I'm telling you, this is going to be a big deal. That's going to be.
Well, by the way, I should say this: at this point in time, I'm non-committal about it.
You are
personally.
You got to wait and see, kind of.
I look at these things, and we'll have to see what happens. I have a tendency, a gut instinct, until I know how the thing is run, to have the opinion that it's not good for the league. If you want to gamble on stuff, you can make card playing and games of chance. Go gamble that way. You know? I mean, you're dealing with the human element in sports, and I don't know how that's going to resonate. You're always going to say, well, the guy made a statement before the game that he had 10 grand on the Philadelphia Eagles today, and all of a sudden now the Eagles upset him, and he's lost his 10 grand. Let's go into the locker room and talk to him about that.
Yeah, well, like I say, the dust has got to settle. We'll see what happens here, but it's a big ruling. It's going to hurt Las Vegas, that's for sure.
It's extremely important.
Some of those big casinos, those gaming, and probably there are not racing sports books, I don't believe, at the Indian casinos, but in Vegas they got those big racing sports books in there, I think, for gaming.
I'd like to have a casino out there.
Would you like to?
Indian territory.
Fred Dryer Indian Casino.
I'd dress up as the King Chief.
How would you do it? All right, we'll be back. Stay with us here on the Sports Lounge. We're back at the Sports Lounge. We being yours truly, Michael Horn, but the real star of our show, the one and only, this guy's a genius right over here.
Thank you so much.
We're talking about Mr. Fred Dryer, the football legend, the acting superstar.
Thank you so much.
So, Fred, you started and you were playing baseball when you were in high school, and you probably remember this guy, one of the great pitchers of the Minnesota Twins, Jim Kaat. And Jim Kaat is like, I guess, 70 plus years of age. And, Major League Baseball's tinkering with the pace of the ball game. They're constantly cutting this out. Just go walk at the point at first base, and you don't have to throw 4 pitches. And it seems like they're trying to cut time, but it's getting longer and longer anyway. So Jim Kaat has what he thinks a genius, yet simpler, more radical fix that he has in mind for baseball. Here's his deal. Jim Kaat. He wants to reduce the conventional length of the baseball game from 9 innings, Fred, to 7 innings. He says, and I'm quoting him now,
oh, no.
7 is the new 9.
Oh, man.
He talked to Ken Rosenthal in an interview on Friday.
There it is.
This guy, Jim Kaat, he was 2.5 decades he was in baseball, a left-hander at 16 Gold Glove Awards. Oh, he's 79 years of age, by the way.
He's 79?
Starting to... Maybe. Anyway, he's a special assistant to the Minnesota Twins, and he argued further on this, and I just want you to hear me out, and then I want your comments. You play 7 innings, and he says this way, if you propose a shorter, quicker game, it would give more importance to starting pitching, because, those guys only pitch 5 innings. So he says you go 5 innings, and then you turn it over to the setup man in the 6th and the closer in the 7th. You don't need any middle relief guys anymore. What do you think of that genius Jim Kaat idea?
When you said you said that he had the idea of shortening the game, I thought you were going to say shortening the baseball bat.
No, but that's his next idea, probably.
My idea is put 2 feet on the baseball bat, make the bat 2 feet longer and twice as fat. So
that you can reach for those in the outside.
So you can hit whatever he's throwing.
That's right. Jim Kaat.
The Popeye cartoon where Bluto comes up with a sequoia.
Yes, and hits the whole thing. Yes,
yeah, remember that one?
That was a good one. That was on the Pier 5 Club.
My favorite Popeye cartoon.
So Jim Kaat is also suggesting a limit of 9 or 10 pitchers on each team's staff, which he said would open up room on the bench and essentially do away with middle inning relievers. And he says managers have already started to limit the workload of their typical 5-man rotations, and he says they've emphasized the importance of relievers. Tell me about it. There's a 6th inning guy, 7th, 8th, 9th inning. So Jim Kaat believes the shorter games would allow 4-man rotations to become the norm, and it would maximize the value of the baseball's best starters. What do you think, Fred?
I go the opposite way. I would make my starting pitcher go 9 innings.
I would too.
It's 9, fellas.
It's 9.
You're going 9. I don't care if you get shelled for 8 runs in the first inning.
Yes, get out there and throw the ball.
You're going for 9. We have a crappy bullpen. I don't like relievers to begin with.
Yeah.
I don't trust them. They're these guys. Have you seen these relievers? They look like they just got out of prison.
They've created in the starting pitching wimps that go out there, and if you only throw 5 innings and you're counting pitches, trust me, the guy's probably counting himself because I've already thrown 73. I got about another 5 in me, and then I can get to go out there and go take a shower. And that's what they start thinking. They're not thinking about 9 innings. The old guys used to come out there; they were embarrassed if they got pulled out in the 7th inning.
What about what's his face? Bob Gibson from the Cardinals.
Sandy Koufax, Don Drysdale.
All these guys would deck you if they even sensed that you were crowding the plate.
Exactly. You need to do that. It's ridiculous.
There's a book out there called Head Games. Get it. It's really good.
Is it really?
Yeah, Head Games.
And it's what pitchers do to
That's great.
They used to dust the guys off the base.
They got comments in there from Bob Gibson, who's, in 1967, he was
fast.
Mr. Pitcher.
Yeah.
It was the year after Koufax retired, and that was the last year in 1967 was the last year of the mound being at that regulation height.
And they lowered the mound because
6 inches.
They lowered it 6 inches because
to make things fair.
So the batters could get
so the game was 2-1.
Yeah.
They wanted runs, like everything they do. Once you start manipulating the sport, just like in football, once you start manipulating coverages and defenses, they want 51, 49 games.
Exactly.
So So the bettors, people betting, can run that over and under that point spread.
You're right. And so that's a problem that they have now, and they're screwing up the game of baseball.
Well,
they're screwing up football. There's no more kickoffs. Come on. They're talking about maybe there's no cheerleaders on some of the teams. What's football?
Wait a minute. What'd you say?
I said there's some talk that maybe there won't be any cheerleaders anymore.
Or all guys.
There's already talk that guys are able to do the cheerleading. Guys. Yeah. There's already that talk going on.
Well, transgender. Well, it's all transgender. You
have to allow it all now.
You have to allow transgender referees.
Yes, and that's what's happening. So this is, affecting football. That's why I like hockey. It's still, they got to skate, they got to pass, it's contact. There's still some rough housing in there. It's a good game.
It's a grab ass. That's what you're saying.
No, you hit the guy against the boards, you knock him down, you get that extra. You got an enforcer out there and a defenseman that pushes people around. It's a good game.
That's exciting.
It is. Well, you and I only went to one game this year, and that's changing in the next baseball season.
I don't think I went to one.
You better start going to some games with me, because I'm telling you.
What will you do if I don't go?
I'm going to be very upset. I won't even talk.
Are you going to punish me?
Yep.
You're going to tell me?
Exactly.
You're going to tell me what you're going to do?
Nope, that's going to be a surprise. But I'll tell you one thing. There'll be no more Skipper Frank for you, Freddie Dryer.
Ooh.
I'm going to take away Popeye's Pier 5 Club. I'm going to take away. Well, I won't take away your Dodger games, because that's actually punishment if you watch those.
Well, don't.
I'll make you watch all the Dodger games.
Let's pick a night where they have spam, so we can go get some spam. Spam
night. They already got dollar. They got dollar hot dog nights at the stadiums. How about spam night? That'll pack the house, full house.
That's it.
Back in the old sports lounge, here's truly Michael Horn, along with the star of our show. The man who played it was signed by the New York Giants, briefly sat on the bench maybe for the New England Patriots, but he was traded because they didn't sign him.
He never suited up.
He never suited up. He couldn't reach a signing agreement, so he went to the Los Angeles Rams and had a legendary career. We're talking about the acting legend from Hunter, Mr. Fred Dryer. So here's the deal, football news. Peyton Manning, he says he doesn't want to play any more football, doesn't want to do this, want to do that. Now,
I don't blame him.
But now the Carolina Panthers are talking to him like, hey, maybe he would be interested in ownership. He says he's not interested in coaching. He's not in announcing or politics. But NFL team ownership, what do you think?
I'd like to be an owner. If I was him, I'd go right for that.
You would,
deal.
Right?
Oh, man, I'd be a good one.
What would you do, Fred Dryer, if you were part owner of a team? Would you lend your expertise?
I'd first thing I'd do is address the
elephant in the room,
the pep squad aspect of the business.
What do you mean?
Well, I'd probably have an open call for male and transgender cheerleaders.
But that would be the first thing you would do.
One of the first things I do, yeah.
What about the players?
Because I think it'd be an easy thing to do.
Well, that would be easy. But what about the players? Would you be upset with, how about kneeling? What would you say about the kneeling going on when they're in the national anthem by some of the players?
Well, this would be, I'd probably have a team of about 15 players. I don't think I have an idea that there'd be a lot of guys saying, "Hey, this guy's crazy. I'm getting out of here," and so I would absolutely clamp down on that. I'd be very vocal about my belief, and I'd just tell them I do not want anyone. I don't care who you are, black, white, small, indifferent, transgender, cheerleader. I don't care who it is. I don't want anybody disrupting my business like that.
Yeah. So you have to follow the rules of the team and then do whatever it is you believe in yourself. But, I mean, follow the rules of the team. Here's the deal. The billionaire from Charlotte, South Carolina, Ben Navarro, He reached out for Manning to be part of the new ownership group. Navarro's part of the Sherman Financial Group. He's one of the 4 known bidders that's going for the Panthers because their team owner, Jerry Richardson, got himself in trouble with the sexual and racial.
Oh, no, the feminists got him.
Yeah, the feminists got him. You're right.
Boy.
There you go.
They got him.
Yes, and they got him, and so that's the politically correct thing now. And so he's losing his team. They can take the team away from you. Anyway, Peyton's 42. He retired. He got $249 million in career football earnings. He got $400 million in total earnings. That includes endorsements, according to Forbes magazine. This could be something he might be interested in. He'd be a class owner, I think. He'd be good.
I think he would like that. I think he'd do well at it.
The Ravens are in the news because they're trying to win back fans. They've had a lot of problems with players beating up on their girlfriends or whatever. And then they have announced Tuesday they're kind of try to reduce concession prices at M&T Bank Stadium. It's they're looking to repair the relationship with fans who have become angered by some players' national anthem protests and disappointed by
all of them
playoff drought.
We're talking about some players. All of them are dummy. Get them out of there.
So nobody's showing up to the games.
Well, of course, and the owners.
They're going to lower the concession
prices. And the owners
prices.
Side with the players.
Yeah. You're going to lower the concession prices. What they're going to do, give you $1 hot dog.
Well, I'm telling you, it's spam night. You got to go spam night. You got to start doing. You have to start doing gimmick giveaway. You got 8 home games.
That's it.
You got 8 home games. You got to do a gimmick giveaway stuff. And what is it? You bring out Harvey. The whippet.
Who is Harvey? That's the
Harvey.
Team mascot?
Harvey is the whippet that chases frisbees.
Oh, okay.
That guy.
You bring him out. That's what you got to do with these games.
Yeah. And here's the other thing. If you're the Bengals, don't you bring a Bengal tiger to the game?
Yeah, I would do it. And here's the other thing I think, and you'd like this. You get those guns because guns are clever now.
Air gun.
The air guns, and you shoot T-shirts into the stands. What do you think of that?
Oh, dirty laundry.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, you don't clean them. They're the
apples.
players. They're some of the old players' uniforms. Just shoot them up there.
Yeah.
What, do we get underwear mixed into there? Sorry about it.
Yeah.
That's a terrible
fruit.
thing.
Fruit and vegetables.
Hey, don't forget, check out Fred Dreyer's personal website, freddryer.co.
Yeah, we made some adjustments on the website.
FREDDRYER, freddryer.co. See his movie Highway 395. It's up there. Download it, watch it, have yourself a good time with it. It's the one and only Fred Dryer.